Can you share a few standout success stories that highlight the transformative effect of your services on these businesses and communities?
I really specialize in helping locally owned businesses rank online, especially with local SEO. So that's really ranking on Google Maps, Yelp, TripAdvisor. The main way people are finding businesses in this digital age is they are typing in restaurants near me, salons near me. I've been doing it for longer than local SEO has even been a search word. Like it wasn't even a term when I started doing it. Boom. So we make it super easy. The results of that is it's been from taking 3 hours to taking about 20 minutes. And so again, within 1 year, he went from almost shutting down his doors before we started working to being able to hire 5 full-time employees. And now he makes over $1 million a year. He's very happy at his level. So that's a very cool example.
Hello, and welcome back to the latest episode of Storefront Strategies. I am delighted to be joined today by Isaac Navias, all the way from Arizona, which I have to say is substantially warmer than Scotland today. So welcome to the show, Isaac.
Thank you so much, Lee. Excited to be here.
So firstly, what I would love for you to do is to introduce yourself and what you do in 60 seconds or less.
Alrighty. Well, my name is Isaac Navias, and I really specialize in helping locally owned businesses rank online, especially with local SEO. So that's really ranking on Google Maps, Yelp, TripAdvisor. Every community maybe has a slightly different business finder, but the main way people are finding businesses in this digital age is they are typing in restaurants near me, salons near me, HVAC service near me. That's where the local SEO really thrives. And I've been doing this for over a decade and really been able to make awesome positive impacts for locally owned businesses all across the US.
And it's really interesting because I see how it's changed from being keywords to long form now, that it's long tail as well.
Yeah, for sure. You want to be able to hit a variety of different keywords and being able to show all your service. So we just started working with a carpet cleaning company. They actually rank really well for carpet cleaning, but they don't rank well at all for tile and grout cleaning, which is one of their second main service. They don't rank at all for upholstery cleaning, couch cleaning. So then there's all these opportunities now to go in and add these additional keywords and additional services within their Google business profile and being able to help them. And that just massively increases the revenue they can make if they're now showing up for a variety of their services instead of just one.
Yeah, absolutely. So your entrepreneurial journey began after leaving a corporate role at Target to pursue your passion for local marketing and SEO. What was the pivotal moment that inspired you to make this significant career shift, and how did it shape the creation of LocalFi?
Yeah. So honestly, in my early 20s, I started running into pretty serious health issues. I just wasn't functioning, and I knew something was wrong. And I had promised myself in elementary school that I would never do something I hated doing again once I graduated in primary school, because you're kind of forced to go through that. And so while I enjoyed working for Target, I was not happy with where my life was with all these medical issues I was facing. And so I did decide to leave. I actually found after I started getting medically tested, I had severe sleep apnea. So I was waking up over 40 times an hour. I hadn't gotten REM sleep in over 2 years. Kind of makes sense why I wasn't functioning to my full ability, and was suffering from depression at the time. I was on probably 10 different prescription pills. So at that time, obviously I still need a job, and I was only either getting executive based offers, which were going to be 60 hours a week and working, and I need to focus on my health, or I was getting kind of part time offers that were going to cover the bills. And because I was so overqualified for kind of your standard entry level at that point, I just wasn't getting those offers because I think they thought I wouldn't stay for a while. So at that point, I actually launched my first consulting company, and I was doing HR consulting because that's what I graduated from college with, an HR degree. I was helping businesses with their employee handbooks and that kind of stuff. And then I got into helping baby boomers with technology. So I helped a woman launch her self-publishing company and did that for a while. And so it was really just finding these odd jobs that I was good at while I can focus on my health. And I spent 2 years really dedicated to regaining my health, learning about positive mindsets, learning all about how to diet and eat correctly for myself, working with a physical therapist to get rid of some of my pain from lacrosse injuries, and dedicated 2 years hard to doing that. And during that time, I realized I was finding all of my businesses on Google Maps. If I was looking up a massage therapist, a chiropractor near me, I was going onto Google Maps and searching. And yet I found that none of them were really optimizing or doing anything with the Google Maps. And I was like, if I'm finding all my businesses using it, other people have to as well. And so I actually went to a local chiropractor. I wanted to get his services. And I was like, hey, if I optimize your Google Maps, will you like give me some free chiropractor adjustments? He was like, sure. And that's really how it started. I didn't really know what I was doing at the time. I just knew I used it, and I just was like, how would I want this to show up if I was a user? And I found I could add additional pictures and different descriptions and that kind of stuff. And what ended up happening is within 3 months of me doing that for him, he was so busy, he had to bring on another chiropractor. And then he just had to start turning away people and sending them to other offices because he couldn't handle all the business coming in. So that was really kind of a breakthrough moment and me recognizing this really makes a positive impact. So even with that though, it was years before we launched LocalFi. This was just like a service I did when I found a company I liked. I was like, hey, I can really help boost your business. And so this was kind of just like one-offs, and I was just doing it here and there while I was learning how to build sales funnels and building out courses and all that kind of other stuff. But then in 2018, my girlfriend actually went through major chest surgery, life-saving chest surgery. And she was a vet tech. And after that surgery, she just wasn't able to do the physical aspects of the job anymore because the dog jumped on her and jumped on her surgical spot. It was like major issues. And so we really looked at how can we help her get out of that 9 to 5. And we looked at all the things I had done in the last decade. And this local marketing was always so successful. I had a lot of reviews of people saying how it made a huge impact on the business. So we decided to launch a whole business around it. And it took us 1 year, but within 1 year, we were able to pull Kim out of her 9 to 5. She was actually back. She was selling dog food because she couldn't do the vet tech stuff. With 1 year, we were able to build the business up enough and help enough local businesses that pulled her out of 9 to 5. And then we packed everything up and started traveling full time for 2 to 3 years after that, traveling all across the US, doing all the national parks.
So you've emphasized that systems create freedom, and you've built LocalFi around this principle.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on the key systems that you've implemented at LocalFi and how that's then contributed to your business's really exponential growth and replicable success?
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. So I can tell you when we launched LocalFi, here I am an expert in what I do. I mean, I've been doing it for longer than local SEO has even been a search word. It wasn't even a term when I started doing it. I'm extremely good at what I do. I have a long track record, and we failed miserably for the first 3 months. Just could not bring on a client. And it was definitely a trying time. And I think most entrepreneurs have faced this before. They know they have something great, and yet they're just not getting sales. And so a couple things happened that really helped us move to the next level is one, we read a couple books, huge impact. So The E-Myth is a huge book that I recommend everyone start reading. And it really talks about how do you start systemizing your business. And then we also read Story Branding and understanding how to actually talk about our offerings. So once we got that and we started understanding, hey, we need a system for how do we even talk about our offerings. And so we created these pitches, these talking points that we could replicate at networking meetings. So we knew, boom, we can do this. And that was a big first step. And then the next thing was really building the systems about how the business runs. So when we were doing onboarding, for instance, when we first started, I was spending about 2 to 3 hours every time onboarding. Every time I was typing out the email, these are what I need, blah, blah, blah. And then I would only get about half of what I needed from the client. And then I'd have to go back in the future and, hey, I need more stuff. So one of the first systems we built was an onboarding system. And so we created a template email that we could literally just, boom, here it is, fill out a couple forms. That takes 5 minutes instead of an hour. Then we created systems on Google Drive, which is a great free system to get started with. So you can upload all of your images right here, boom. So we make it super easy. The results of that is it's went from taking 3 hours to taking about 20 minutes. And we were getting way better results, and the clients were happier with it. We were getting everything we needed, which launched the campaigns to go further. So yeah, it took us several hours to build out the system, and yet we're saving 2 to 3 hours every single time now that we onboard a new person. The next system we looked at is I did a time study. So I looked at where was I spending my time throughout the day, and I found I was spending about an hour a day on graphic design work. I can do graphic design work, but I have no formal education. I taught myself all of that. There's lots of great graphic designers out there. There's lots of VAs that can do graphic design. So we built a system around these are what the posts need to look like. These are dimensions. This is how you figure out what the brand color is. We built all those systems, and then we hired a graphic designer to actually do that work. And now I've freed myself up an hour every single day to actually work on growing the business or building new systems. And now you have an extra hour to build your next system. And that's really how we got rolling with this is we figured out, we did the time study, figured out where we were spending our time, where did we not need to, where are other people better? Because here's the thing, not only was I not spending an hour a day on graphic design work, the graphic design work was way better because I hired an actual graphic designer. So that's really how we started getting rolling. And it just makes such a huge difference in growing and scaling your business and really allowing you as the owner to focus on one, what you're most passionate about, what you're best about, and working on the business instead of in the business.
And I think people don't necessarily realize that putting systems in actually isn't necessarily as big a task as they think it's going to be, or as time consuming as they think it's going to be.
I would disagree. I would say one thing that we found is that systems are one of the most challenging things to build. The first time we went to go build systems, the book, The E-Myth, says, get away. Don't do it in your office. Get away, go away for a week. So we went to this place that we really like. We went away for a week. We thought we were going to build out all these systems. And yet the only system we built while there was a system on how to build systems because they're so complicated. And I remember saying to Kim at the end of this, we didn't accomplish what we came here to, but I'm so excited because we did accomplish figuring out how to build systems. And because of how difficult this is, I know so many other people won't do it. And that's going to give us such a huge advantage. And so building systems, I think, is, as an adult, one of the most mind-consuming tasks you can do. So you actually will find after you build systems, you're starving. You literally burn more calories because you have to use so much computing power in your brain to do so. And you have to dedicate, and it is draining. And yet again, once it's built, it just keeps paying back time and time and time again. And so I would say building systems is extremely difficult and extremely rewarding. And having the discipline to block schedule out times to build systems, because building systems are never urgent. So I see a lot of entrepreneurs always are prioritizing bringing in additional revenue. Then they're always kind of last minute running around and all these issues are popping up and they're always crazy busy and they're working 60 hours a week, where we prioritize building systems and growth. And so sometimes we turn down revenue that could come in because we've already block scheduled out. No, we're working on systems at this time period. Always going to, even if additional revenue could come in during that time period. And that's allowed us, again, to continue to scale. So it's taking less money now to make a lot more money in the future.
LocalFi has made a substantial impact on numerous local businesses and nonprofits across the country. Can you share a few standout success stories that highlight the transformative effect of your services on these businesses and communities?
Yeah. So I'll highlight a couple. We work with such a huge range of awesome entrepreneurs. So one of our first clients here in Phoenix was a plumber. He had left his plumbing company, was trying to launch his own plumbing company. He was doing advertising on Yelp at the time and just wasn't getting results. And so I said, hey, your Yelp profile isn't set up really well. No wonder you're not getting results. So what we did is we started building out his listing platforms. And so we built his Google Maps, we built Angie's List, which was big back then, and we built out his Yelp profile. And at first, our key focus was building those profiles and helping him capture reviews and trust. And so we actually were launching specials where he was basically breaking even initially, but we captured those reviews and we captured his track record because he's a phenomenal plumber. He just wasn't very good at marketing. And so within 1 year, he went from almost shutting down his doors before we started working to being able to hire 5 full-time employees, including his father. And now he makes over $1 million a year. He's very happy at his level. So he's just on a retainer and he just wants to stick with where he's at. He's very happy. He's not trying to grow, but we just maintain his current stuff. It's just so cool because he's such a good guy, such a good plumber, and just didn't know how to market himself out there in the digital world. That wasn't his specialty. So that's a very cool example. Another very cool example, we're very passionate about the environment. And so again, what's very cool about building systems is that now that I don't have to work in the business as much, I can choose the projects to get to work on. We've been able to work on a lot of different environmental projects and actually donate our services. So one environmental company we donate our services to was One Tree Planted, a great organization. Donate $1, they plant a tree. And so they've been replanting forests all across the world. I like them because they're very well run and they actually bring in scientists to look, okay, how does planting a forest here impact the surrounding areas for the next 20 years, the next 40 years, the next 60 years? And really looking at, does it make sense to replant a forest here and that kind of stuff. When we started working with them, they did have a lot of good online presence, but they were really missing that Google business profile and they were missing that credibility online. It wasn't super easy to find how credible they were. And so we helped them flesh that out. They went from planting 10 million trees the year before we worked with them 15 million to 20 million trees. This last year, they planted 30 million trees. I know that what we did definitely has an impact in that, because now when somebody finds them online, there's so much credibility because we helped them flesh out all the reviews of all the great work they were doing. And we helped them make it very clear that, yes, this is a legitimate organization and your money is really going to what they're saying it's going to. And so it's just so cool to be able to have that impact to really help replant forests all across America. So not only do we do that and donate our services to helping them, but we actually also donate trees to them. And I donate trees to every single place because I have a global workforce. I donate trees in every single country that my team members are in if they're working on a reforestation project in that country. So those are just two very different examples of how we were able to make positive impacts.
That's amazing. As someone who has significantly impacted local businesses through SEO and marketing strategies, what trends do you see shaping the future of local marketing?
Yeah, I mean, so the biggest trend, everyone obviously is talking about, it's all of is of course AI. So AI is massively changing SEO currently. Google's changing a lot. Google's actually losing market share for the first time in decades to Bing because Bing's AI came out sooner and, was better. Google's working hard to catch up, and Google's usually pretty good at what they set their mind to. So I'm sure they will, but they're completely changing the way that the whole internet is working with AI. And so we have to be aware of that, and we have to be able to utilize AI effectively. I know I met with my team and I let them know, hey, as long as you know how to use AI effectively, your job's not at risk. If you're just ignoring it and not learning this, then yeah, people are going to come in that are going to be significantly more efficient utilizing AI. So AI is doing a lot of things in terms of writing content, in terms of helping you fit keywords into what you're writing. Because a lot of times kind of fitting in a long tail keyword, which that's 3 or more words together. So that could be like best carpet cleaning. That would be considered a long tail keyword because that's 3 words together. So sometimes it's hard to like fit those things into written words. Well, AI is pretty good at fitting in these long tail keywords into written words. And then even just auditing, websites, AI is coming in and doing that more and more. And so we just have to be aware, and we have to be aware of the positives and negatives with utilizing AI. So just having content written through AI, like if they write a blog about this, typically it's not great content that the AI is writing, and it's super duplicatable. Anyone could ask it to write the exact same blog, and now you have the same blog up on 20 different sites, and Google's going to be like, what's going on here? Why is the exact same content on all these sites? So we don't recommend just going in and doing that kind of stuff. And so again, being aware. So what we've found is much more effective is if you can actually take content that you've either already written, or what's very cool now is now there's all these transcript services. So like, for instance, from this podcast, you could get it pretty easily transcribed. Now you have all this written content. Now you could put that into ChatGPT and say, hey, based on this podcast and this transcript, write a blog about this thing. And now they're taking the information from this podcast, and it's actually now a unique, it's usually fairly well written because it's taking this content. It's going to be unique. Nobody else is going to duplicate the exact same thing, obviously. And so it's just understanding how to use AI effectively, and as well as the downfalls of AI. Don't use AI for everything because Google will penalize you. All your content is just basic, write me a blog about how to do SEO. So that's not going to rank well on Google, an AI written blog about that. But you take a podcast that you've talked about SEO and ask it to write a blog based on the podcast, it will probably put out some good information as long as you talked about good information.
What advice would you give to new entrepreneurs looking to leverage SEO to grow their businesses?
Yeah, so especially because this podcast is all about brick and mortar and these locally owned businesses. One thing that a lot of business owners don't understand is there's a significant difference between website SEO and local SEO. So website SEO is attempting to get your website ranked number 1. And for most locally owned businesses that are just trying to drive local customers, that's honestly just a money pit. And you're going to find there's a ton of SEO companies out there trying to essentially take your money, and you're not going to see a lot of results. And so what I always suggest is really understanding the local SEO side of things, because here's the thing. Someone types in restaurants near me. The first websites that are going to pop up are going to be Yelp, TripAdvisor, OpenBook. A restaurant isn't going to be able to compete with those sites. There's no way. But guess what? If you click on Yelp, and then you're in there. So if you're able to rank your business on Yelp and TripAdvisor and that kind of stuff, that's where people are looking. And then Google Maps, one thing that's really interesting about Google Maps, on a normal Google search, if you're going to type in any keyword with a near me modifier, that could be landscaping near me, anything, the first thing that pops up, you'll see your Google ads, but a lot of us millennials have ad blockers, so we don't see Google ads. And then the second thing that pops up is the Google Map Pack. That gets 50% of all clicks. And the Google Map Pack is based on your ranking on Google Maps, Google Business Profile. And so you could pay thousands of dollars to try and compete with Yelp to get your business website ranking number one. And that gets about 12 to 14% of clicks. Or you could pay significantly less and really get your local profile ranking. And then you're in that map pack if you do well, and then you're getting 50% of clicks. And so it's actually far, far more cost effective. It's a longer ROI. It's not changing as rapidly as website SEO. So the first thing I suggest any business owner do is create the Google business profile. Free to do. You can just Google how to do it. It's pretty easy. If you do have a permanent storefront with an address and permanent signage, you're all within their terms and conditions. You can get a Google listing. If you don't, you can actually say, I service this specific area. So a lot of home service companies like landscaping don't maybe not have an office. You can still create a Google profile. You just don't list an address and you say, I service these areas instead. And so that's the number one thing that you should create for your online presence, because then you can start capturing reviews, and reviews are how people make buying decisions nowadays. You know, even if Lee, you were to tell me, oh, you should go check out this restaurant, it's fantastic, I'm still going to Google it, right? I'm still going to look it up, even if just ask for directions. And if I go on it, it's a 3-star review, I'm going to be like, really? Why did she suggest that I go there? But if I go on there and it's a 4.5-star review, I'm like, oh yeah, definitely, let's check that out. So it actually helps a lot with word of mouth advertising and conversion, which is something people don't think about. But in top of just driving you online traffic, it's massive in helping you with your online word of mouth conversion. I mean, when people are looking you up, and people always look you up nowadays. So yeah, that would be the number one suggestion, is really dig into the Google business profile, understand how that operates, get some photos up there, start capturing reviews, flesh out your description, make sure your keywords are in the description. And that's a good first start for any business that's starting up.
Is there anything that you would suggest that people avoid doing? Any pitfalls?
Yeah, so the address thing is definitely a pitfall. Making sure that you understand what Google's terms and conditions are for you to be on Google My Business. So a lot of people who may not aren't technically allowed to be on Google My Business. So if you don't have like permanent signage, for instance, if you're running out of your house and you don't have permanent signage, you're not technically allowed to be on Google My Business as showing your address. But you could be on Google My Business as saying, I serve customers in this area. So I see that a lot of people make that mistake and try and show an address, and then the listing gets suspended or not accepted. And then it's a lot more difficult to get live than if you just didn't show an address. So you can definitely find Google's terms for being on Google Business Profile, read through those and understand, do I fall within it or not? And if I don't fall in showing an address, then I can at least get on there and not show an address. So that's a big pitfall. Another one is just making sure you have great photos. I can't tell you how many businesses that we start working with, and the profile photo for the Google business, which is literally the first thing you see when somebody Googles your business, is a terrible photo. And so, yeah, making sure you have a great profile photo in there that works as a thumbnail. And that's the other thing you have to recognize. It shows up as a thumbnail. And so sometimes we'll have these people who will have all this text on their profile image or something. You can't read any of that. So yeah, just recognizing, hey, this is a very important photo. It's literally the photo is going to be seen the most representing your business out there, and it needs to look good as a thumbnail. So that's another key that I would suggest that, putting a little bit of effort into.
Okay, businesses, so you've heard it here. You know where to start. You know what to do. You also know what not to do. So there's no excuse. Get out there and start building your business using Google My Business. So Isaac, how do people get in touch with you?
Yeah, so people can get in touch with us by going to localfiseo.com. That's localfiseo.com. And the best thing to do is actually just book in our calendar, because then we have a discovery call and we really dive into where we believe we can help you. We're super honest. And so that's one of the things that we found just makes a lot of sense. We really prioritize bringing on the right businesses and having longevity with our clients. So if we think there might be another marketing avenue that's better for you, we'll let you know. If we think that maybe you're ranking super well already and don't need our services, we'll let you know. There's no problem with that. There's an infinite amount of businesses that need our services. So we don't need to have companies come on. We want to really work with companies that are doing great services and really benefiting the community. And so that's what we look at as well. We're very picky in making sure that the companies we come on are actually really helping the communities that they're in. And it's no risk to book in our calendar. You're going to get a lot of good information, whether you decide to move forward with us or not. We also have a free scan on our website. So if you go to our website and you go to the free resources section, you can actually run a business scan and see how you're showing up online. So that's really key because a lot of people don't realize if you've ever moved locations or you've moved into a location that had another location there, you have wrong data out there floating around online. And Google, part of their algorithm is how much do they trust your company is, who you say your company is. And so if you have data out there online on Yelp or MapQuest even has a local listing platform that's saying that this business at this address is an old business, or let's say you change your phone numbers or it's listing an old address that used to be at, that's actually going to hurt your rankings. And so scan on our website, again, will just show you how you're showing up online. So you have a better sense of, oh, on this site, I show up correctly. On this site, it has a different name. On this site, it has a different phone number. So that's really important to have all that data accurate and correct across the web. And almost every business has some issues because, again, they've moved at some point or they've moved into a location and that other location didn't clean up all their addresses and that kind of stuff. So that's definitely key to make sure that that's accurate online as well.
So some great resources as well for everybody listening. That's brilliant. Thank you so much for taking time to have a conversation today. Such words of wisdom and a challenge to actually get out there and make a difference with the information that you've given as well. So I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, definitely. Always happy to help. I really believe locally owned businesses are really the cornerstone of every great community, and communities are what make the world great. And so we're always finding ways to help benefit those people who are really giving their all. These entrepreneurs that are running these locally owned businesses are giving their all to their communities and working so hard. So in any way we can help support them, we're happy to do so.
Perfect. Thank you so much.